This place looks like a horror movie set. Imagine a lake that turns living beings into stone. Sounds like a myth, but it's reality. Welcome to the lake. Natron, one of the creepiest places on the planet. It's located in Tanzania, not far from the border with Kenya. At first glance, it looks like an ordinary body of water, but its water has deadly properties. The temperature here can reach 108 degrees Fahrenheit, and the alkalinity level is so high that it can eat away at skin and flesh. But the scariest part is the mummification effect. When birds or other animals fall into the water, their bodies get covered in mineral deposits, and over time become hard as stone. This happens because of the high concentration of soda and lime. The shores of the lake are littered with statues of death, the remains of birds and bats frozen in terrifying poses. But here's what's amazing. In this deadly water, flamingos live. They have adapted to the extreme conditions and even use the lake as a breeding ground. For them, natron is a protection against predators. So what caused such horrifying properties? Water. The answer lies in the volcanic activity of the region. Lava, rich in minerals, flows into the lake, creating this hellish cocktail. But that's not even the strangest place on Earth. The island of dolls. In the heart of Mexico, among the overgrown canals of Xochimilco, there lies a creepy island. Here, thousands of old dolls hang from the trees, swaying in the wind, watching you with their empty eye sockets. The island of dolls is one of the most sinister places on the planet. Once upon a time, a lonely hermit named Don Julian Santana lived here. According to legend, he once found the body of a drowned girl in the water near the island. Soon after that, he started noticing strange things. At night, you could hear children's voices, and the dolls brought by the river would change positions on their own. To appease the girl's spirit, Julian began hanging dolls all over the island. He collected them from dumps and traded with locals for food. So, the island turned into a real museum of horror. More than 50 years have passed. One day, Julian was found dead in the same spot where he once discovered the girl's body. Since then, the island has become a place of pilgrimage for paranormal enthusiasts. People claim that the dolls here move, whisper, and at night you can hear children's laughter. But if this island is visually frightening, the next place poses a real deadly threat. The Valley of the Falling Birds. In the state of Assam in India, there is a mysterious place that will send shivers down your spine. It's known as the Valley of the Falling Birds. Every year at the end of summer, something strange happens here. On certain nights, hundreds of birds suddenly fall from the sky, as if struck by an invisible force. This phenomenon has been observed for many years, but until now no one knows exactly what the cause is. The locals are afraid of this place. They are sure that the valley is cursed. Some believe that a supernatural force is at work here. Others say it's the work of ancient spirits guarding these lands. Scientists have been trying to figure out this phenomenon. They put forward several theories. One of them, magnetic anomalies. It's possible that the birds lose their orientation due to geomagnetic disturbances and just crash to the ground. Another theory is toxic fumes from underground. There are volcanic gases in this region that can poison the air. But there's something even more terrifying. Some researchers claim that the birds seem to be tearing themselves apart from the inside before they fall. This puzzles even the most skeptical scientists. The door to hell. In the very heart of Turkmenistan, in the Karakum Desert, there's a place that looks like a portal to the underworld. This is the Darvaza crater, which the locals call the door to hell. A massive fire pit over 200 feet in diameter has been burning for more than 50 years. Her story began when geologists were conducting gas exploration. As a result of a failed drilling attempt, the ground collapsed, creating a giant sinkhole. To prevent the leak of dangerous gas, scientists decided to set the crater on fire. They thought the fire would go out in a few days, but it is still burning. The flames here are so intense that they can be seen from several miles away. The temperature at the crater can reach over 1,000 degrees in Fahrenheit. And inside, you can see the bubbling fire erupting from the depths of the earth. Train graveyard. Deep in the Bolivian desert, amidst endless sandy expanses, lies a place where time seems to have stopped. Huge rusty locomotives are frozen in eternal waiting, covered in dust and corrosion. This train graveyard is one of the darkest and most mysterious places on the planet. Once, life thrived here. In the 19th century, Bolivia actively built railways, connecting remote regions. But after several decades, the country's economy collapsed and rail transport fell into decline. Trains, once a symbol of progress, have been left abandoned in the middle of the desert. Today, The train graveyard looks like scenes from a post-apocalyptic movie. The carriages and locomotives stand in rows, covered in graffiti and worn out to the point of holes. Their metal bodies creak hoarsely in the wind, creating a suffocating atmosphere. Some believe this place is cursed. There are rumors that at night, among the trains, you can see ghostly lights and hear strange sounds, as if the old locomotives are trying to set off on their journey again. But if time has stopped here, then in the next place, it's literally frozen in stone. The stone waves of Arizona. In the Arizona desert, there's a place that seems like an illusion. These are giant sand waves. They look like a petrified storm, but in reality, this is one of the rarest geological formations in the world. The locals simply call this place the Wave. It's made up of ancient sandstones that are over 190 million years old. Once there were dunes here, but through the action of water and wind, they turned to stone, preserving their smooth shapes. The colors of the sandstones change depending on the lighting, from bright orange to purple. Because of the unique structure, these waves seem to float before your eyes, creating an optical illusion. Getting here is incredibly difficult. The number of tourists is strictly limited, and permission must be obtained, a real stroke of luck. And the way to these waves goes through a harsh desert where you can easily get lost. But if here we see petrified nature, then in the next place lies an underground city of the dead, where it's better not to go alone. The Paris Catacombs. Beneath the streets of Paris lies an entire labyrinth that holds terrifying secrets. These are the catacombs, an underground world where millions of people rest. The 18th century. The cemeteries in Paris are overcrowded, and the corpses are literally starting to crawl out of the ground. So the authorities made a radical decision to dig up the remains and move them to the old quarries beneath the city. And that's how the catacombs were born. Today, it's a network of tunnels stretching over 200 miles. Everywhere you look, there are walls made of skulls and bones, arranged in creepy patterns. The atmosphere here weighs heavily on the mind, but the scariest stories are about those who went down here and never came back. They say you can hear whispers here, see shadows, and the doors leading back sometimes just disappear. In the catacombs, they still find chambers that no one knew existed. What's in them? A mystery. But if the dead rest underground here, then in the next place, nature decided to take over the territory left behind by humans. The fishing village of Hutuan. In China, on one of the islands at the mouth of the Yangtze, there's an amazing place. This is the village of Hutuan, which looks more like scenes from a post-apocalyptic movie. Once, fishermen lived here. But over time, people left the island in search of a better life, and nature decided not to waste any time. In just a few decades, it completely swallowed the village. Today, the roads and streets are hidden beneath thick layers of greenery. Vines wrap around the walls, trees grow through the roofs, and the narrow streets have turned into jungles. It feels like this place was never inhabited. This is one of the few places on the planet where you can see how nature takes over. Socotra Island. Welcome to the most alien place on Earth. This is Socotra Island, located in the Indian Ocean off the coast of Yemen. If someone showed you a photo of this place, you'd think it was footage from another planet. It's home to hundreds of rare plants that you won't find anywhere else on Earth. The most famous of them is the dragon's blood tree. It looks like a huge green mushroom, and its resin is bright red, like blood. Ancients believe that this was a real blood tree with mystical properties. Another amazing plant is the bottle tree. It looks like a giant vase with thick trunks and tiny branches. Its flowers are pink, but against the backdrop of the desert landscape, they seem ghostly. But Socotra is strange not just because of its plants. There are almost no rivers here, but there are caves that go deep for many miles. They say that inside them, you can find mysterious inscriptions from ancient civilizations. The island has been isolated from civilization for a long time, and the locals believe in magic and curses. They talk about spirits that live in the mountains, and about strange creatures that no one can explain. But if nature is scary here, then in the next place, it's human loneliness that brings the fear. This is the Bell Rock Lighthouse, one of the most inaccessible places on the planet. It is located off the coast of Scotland, right on top of a giant rock sticking out of the water. It was almost impossible to build a lighthouse here, but it was done in the 19th century. What's a total nightmare. A storm can last for days. Waves rise to over 100 feet, and the wind can easily knock a person off their feet. One day, a mysterious incident happened here. The entire Megnikov crew vanished without a trace. When rescuers arrived on the island, they found no one. The doors were closed, There was uneaten food on the table, and the journal had its last entry. The storm won't stop, we're scared. What happened to them remains a mystery. But if loneliness is scary here, then in the next place, something more sinister is waiting for you. Thor's Well. There is a place on the Oregon coast that looks like an entrance to an underwater world. This is Thor's Well, a giant sinkhole into which water disappears endlessly. At first glance, it appears to be an ordinary tidal hole in the rock. But the longer you look at it, the scarier it gets. The water goes down deep, and then it shoots back up with tremendous force. It's a mesmerizing sight, but also terrifying at the same time. For a long time, people thought that the well had no bottom, that it sucked in everything that was nearby. In fact, it is connected to underwater caves, but their depth has not yet been explored completely. Despite its danger, this place attracts daredevils. Some try to get too close, but a sudden wave can pull a person inside. But if here the danger is hidden in the water, then in the next place the silence frightens him. This is a town where time has stopped. For decades ago, life was bustling here. Today, it's a ghost town. Welcome to Pripyat, a place frozen in time. When the Chernobyl reactor exploded in 1986, the city's residents were urgently evacuated. They thought they were leaving for a few days, but no one came back. Now, it's a ghost town. Abandoned houses, rusty cars, children's toys left behind in a hurry. The creepiest place is an abandoned park with a Ferris wheel that never opened. But even after all these years, Pripyat remains dangerous. The radiation here is still high, and in some areas, it's even deadly. Scientists call this place the atomic desert, where nature takes over, and humans are just ghosts of the past. But if here death came because of science, then in the next place you will encounter an abyss that is hidden deep. Underground, the Krubera Cave. Welcome to the deepest cave on Earth. No one knows what lies at the very bottom. It's located in the mountains of Abkhazia, and its depth exceeds 7,000 feet. This is the only cave that goes so deep that it has its own rivers, lakes, and even unknown organisms. To descend here is to go on a journey to hell. Below, there is complete darkness, incredible humidity and air, filled with unknown gases. The deeper you go, the more you feel the pressure. Some scientists believe that in the very lowest layers, there could be life forms that you won't find anywhere else on the planet. However, very few dare to go that deep. But if darkness brings fear here, then in the next place, it's the atmosphere itself that's terrifying. The Aokigahara Suicide Forest. There are places where the air is thick with fear. One of them is the Aokigahara Forest in Japan. It's also called the Suicide Forest. And not without reason. This dense forest is located at the foot of Mount Fuji. Inside, there's absolute silence. There's almost no wind. The birds don't sing, and the trees stand so close together that they create a sinister atmosphere. It's right here that, over the past few decades, hundreds of people have voluntarily taken their own lives. There's a theory that it's all due to a special magnetic field that affects the psyche. Another theory is a curse. Local legends talk about ghosts that lure people into the depths of the forest, from where there's no way out. Abandoned tents, personal belongings, and ropes hanging from trees can be found in the forest. But the creepiest thing is the signs with messages. Think about your family. And life is a gift. They were put up by the authorities in hopes of stopping people who came here with their final intentions. But if this forest is shrouded in sinister legends, the next place is known for its real disappearances. The Bermuda Triangle. Hundreds of missing ships. Planes that vanish into thin air. Welcome to the Bermuda Triangle, one of the most chilling mysteries on the planet. This area is located in the Atlantic Ocean, between Florida, the Bermuda Islands, and Puerto Rico. Strange events have been happening here for several centuries. Ships disappear without a trace, planes vanish from radar, and compasses behave erratically. One of the most famous stories is the disappearance of Flight 19 in the mid-20th century. A group of military planes set out on a training flight, but suddenly the pilots transmitted a strange message. We're entering the white fog. We're losing control. The communication was lost, and none of them returned. There are plenty of theories. Some talk about magnetic anomalies, others about underwater faults, and still others blame extraterrestrial forces. But the fact remains. The Bermuda Triangle keeps claiming lives, and if some places suddenly take people away, others just refuse to let them go. The ghost village of Kaikoi. Imagine a town where no one lives. You walk through the streets, peeking into windows, but all you see is emptiness. This is Kaiko, one of the most mysterious abandoned villages in Turkey. Just 100 years ago, life was bustling here. In this town, Greeks and Turks lived peacefully together, but after a political conflict, they were forcibly evicted, leaving the village deserted. Since then, it has been like a frozen memory of the past. Ruins of houses overgrown with vineyards, empty schools where children's voices can no longer be heard, destroyed churches covered in centuries-old dust. It feels like the residents just vanished in an instant. The locals tried to steer clear of Kaiko. They believe that here dwell the souls of the forsaken people. At night, you can hear strange rustlings and footsteps in the ruins, and see shadows in the windows. But if this town is just dead, then the next place is a deadly trap for those who decide to venture down there. Dean's Blue Hole. In the Bahamas, there's a place that draws adventurers from all over the world. This is Dean's Blue Hole, one of the deepest underwater caves on the planet. At first glance, it is just a round pool with crystal clear water. But if you look deeper, then beneath you opens up a giant black abyss that drops hundreds of feet down. The depth of this hole is over 660 feet. This means that it can fit inside an entire skyscraper. The pressure here is so intense that at a certain depth, the air becomes toxic. Experienced divers try to dive as deep as possible, but it's deadly dangerous. Below you can find cave traps, narrow tunnels that lead to who knows where. Many just don't make it back in time. Despite the danger, this place continues to attract extreme sports enthusiasts. But there's another area that's much harder to access. A secret military base in the Nevada desert. An object that is surrounded by secrets and conspiracy theories. This is Area 51, one of the most secretive places on the planet. What really happens there is unknown. The US government didn't even acknowledge the existence of this base for a long time. But satellite images showed strange structures, runways, and mysterious objects. The main theory: they conduct experiments with alien technologies in the area. They say that it was right here that they studied the wreckage of UFOs that supposedly crashed in Roswell. Some claim that they even stored the bodies of aliens there. Another version is that this is a place where they test super-secret planes and weapons. And indeed, many modern military technologies were first spotted right in this area. Whatever's going on there, one thing's for sure, the area is off limits to outsiders. But maybe that's where the answers to humanity's biggest mysteries are hidden.